They said it was over. Everything he built, gone in a single day. His land, his home, his future, all taken away. But just when it looked like nothing was left, it wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. Because it was not over yet.
The rain slammed against the windshield so that Ethan could barely see the road. His hands tightened around the steering wheel. The old pickup truck rattled with every bump. The fuel gauge sat dangerously close to empty. The check engine light had been glowing for weeks. But none of that hurt as much as the words still echoing inside his head. You should just give up. His older brother Simon had said it less than an hour ago. Not shouted, not whispered, just spoken with the cold certainty of a man who no longer believed in him. Ethan blinked away tears as another wave of rain swept across the highway. The family farm was gone. The bank had taken it that morning. 3 generations of sweat, sacrifice, and memories disappeared with a signature and a stamp. His father had built the place board by board. His grandfather had planted the first crops, and now it belonged to strangers. Ethan pressed harder on the accelerator. The truck groaned. His chest felt hollow, empty, like someone had scooped everything good out of him and left only exhaustion behind. A flash of lightning split the sky, then another. The road ahead vanished beneath sheets of rain. Suddenly, a deer leapt from the darkness. Ethan jerked the wheel. The truck spun. Tires screamed. Metal twisted. Glass exploded. Everything became noise. Then silence. The smell of gasoline drifted through the darkness. Ethan opened his eyes. Pain shot through his shoulder. His head rested against the cracked window. Rainwater leaked through shattered glass. The truck lay tilted in a ditch. For several seconds, he couldn't move, couldn't think, couldn't even remember his own name.
The crushing weight of losing everything. A shaky laugh escaped his lips. It sounded more like a sob. "Of course," he whispered. What else could go wrong? Rainwater mixed with tears on his face. He closed his eyes, and for the first time in years, he prayed. Not the polished prayers people spoke in church, not the neat prayers people posted online. A broken prayer, a desperate one. "If you're there, I can't do this anymore." The words trembled. "I've got nothing left." The rain continued falling. The darkness remained silent. Yet something strange happened. For the first time all day, Ethan didn't feel alone. 3 months earlier, the farm had still been alive. Barely. Rows of corn stretched across the fields. The barn leaned slightly to one side. The tractors were old. The debts were massive. But there was still hope. At least Ethan thought there was. Simon disagreed. Every conversation became an argument. Every meal became a battlefield. Every decision became another reason to blame Ethan. "You always think things will magically work out," Simon snapped one evening.
He laughed bitterly. "You want to save it because Dad believed in you." The words hit hard, very hard, because Ethan knew what came next. Simon had carried that wound for years, ever since their father passed away. "He believed in both of us." Simon looked away. "No," his voice cracked. "He believed in you." The jealousy lingered beneath every conversation, every memory, every smile. It had poisoned their relationship slowly, like rust eating through metal. Neither brother knew how to stop it. As weeks passed, things got worse. A drought destroyed part of the harvest. Equipment failed. Prices dropped. Bills multiplied. Ethan worked before sunrise and after sunset. His hands developed deep cracks. His back ached constantly. Still, he refused to quit. People called him stubborn. Some called him foolish. Maybe they were right, but giving up felt worse.
The final warning. The farm would be seized. 30 days. That was all they had left. 30 days to save generations of history. 30 days to perform a miracle. One afternoon, Ethan visited a small diner on the edge of town. His boots tracked dust across the floor. He sat alone, staring at cold coffee. Across the room sat Clara, the owner, a widow who seemed capable of seeing through people. She placed a fresh cup in front of him. "You look like you've been carrying the world." Ethan forced a smile. "It feels heavier." Clara nodded. "Hard seasons reveal what's inside people." Ethan stared into the steam. What if what's inside isn't enough? For a moment she said nothing. Then she pointed toward the kitchen. A young employee worked quietly near the sink. The boy's name was Eric, 17 years old, always smiling, always helping. "See him?" Clara asked. Ethan nodded. "Yes." "He lost both parents last year." Ethan blinked. "What?" Clara nodded slowly. "Yet every day he walks in here and chooses kindness." She smiled softly. "Pain doesn't always destroy people. Sometimes it introduces them to heaven." The sentence stayed with Ethan long after he left. The auction arrived. Clouds gathered above the property. Neighbors filled the yard. Strangers inspected equipment. Men discussed prices. Children ran through fields that no longer belonged to the family. Ethan felt sick. Simon stood beside the barn, silent, rigid, broken. The bidding began. Each number felt like a knife. Each sale erased another memory. The old tractor, gone. The grain storage, gone. The livestock, gone. Years of labor disappeared within hours. Ethan looked at Simon. For the first time, the anger was gone. Only grief remained. Shared grief, the kind that leaves no room for pride. Simon's eyes filled with tears. "Our father would have hated this." Ethan nodded. "Yeah." Neither man spoke again. Words weren't enough. After the auction, Simon disappeared. Days passed, then weeks. No phone calls, no messages, nothing. Ethan found temporary work loading freight at a warehouse. The pay was terrible. The hours were worse. His apartment was small. The ceiling leaked when it rained. Sometimes he skipped meals. Sometimes he lay awake until dawn, wondering where everything had gone wrong. One evening he received a call. The hospital. Simon had collapsed. Ethan arrived within minutes. Machines beeped softly. The room smelled of antiseptic. Simon looked smaller somehow, older, tired. Years of bitterness seemed to age him overnight. For a long time, neither brother spoke. Finally, Simon stared at the ceiling. "You know what I hated most?" Ethan remained quiet. "You never stopped believing." His voice cracked. "I wanted you to fail."
The confession hung in the air, raw, painful, honest. Simon wiped his eyes. "Every time Dad praised you," he swallowed hard, "I felt invisible." Tears streamed down his face. And instead of dealing with it, I blamed you." Ethan felt his own eyes burning. Years of hurt, years of misunderstandings, years of silence, all suddenly exposed, like wounds finally seeing sunlight. "You were never invisible," Ethan whispered. Simon looked away. "But I believed I was." The months that followed changed everything. Not quickly, not magically. Healing rarely works that way. It happened one conversation at a time, one apology at a time, one act of forgiveness at a time. Simon started helping at a local repair shop. Ethan continued working at the warehouse. Both men struggled. Both carried scars. Yet something new had entered their lives. Humility. And strangely enough, peace. One winter morning, Ethan received unexpected news. A regional agricultural company wanted to meet him. Apparently, someone had recommended him. He assumed it was a mistake, but he attended anyway. The meeting lasted 2 hours, then 3, then 4. By the end of the day, they offered him a management position. The salary exceeded anything he had ever earned. He sat in his truck afterward, speechless. The steering wheel blurred through tears. After everything, after the losses, after the humiliation, a door had opened. Not the one he wanted, but perhaps the one he needed. Years passed. Life slowly rebuilt itself, not into what it had been, into something different, something stronger. Ethan married. Simon became a respected mechanic. Clara's diner continued serving the town. Eric eventually attended college. The old wounds never completely disappeared. Some scars remained forever, yet they no longer controlled the future. One spring afternoon, Ethan drove past the old farm. Wildflowers covered parts of the property. The barn still stood, older now, weathered, beautiful in its own way. He parked near the fence. A warm breeze drifted across the fields. Birds circled overhead. For several minutes, he simply watched, remembering.
Grieving. Giving thanks. Then he noticed something. An elderly man walking nearby. The property's new owner. The man approached with a smile. "You, Ethan?" He nodded. The old man extended a hand. "Your father was a good man." Ethan smiled softly. Yes, he was. The man glanced toward the fields. "He'd be proud of you." Those words nearly broke him. Not because they erased the pain. Not because they restored what had been lost. But because they reminded him of something important. Hardship had stolen many things. It had taken land, money, dreams, certainty. But it had failed to steal character. It had failed to steal faith. It had failed to steal hope. That evening, Ethan sat alone on his porch. The sky glowed orange and gold, the same colors he remembered from the old farm, the same colors that had watched over every season of his life, good and bad, joyful and painful. He thought about the crash, the rain, the prayer in the darkness, the moment he believed he had nothing left. A smile touched his face, because now he understood. Heaven had never promised an easy road. It had never promised protection from heartbreak. It had never promised freedom from loss. But it had promised presence. And sometimes presence is the miracle. Not the removal of suffering, but the strength to walk through it. Not the absence of hardship, but heaven meeting you inside it. The wind rustled through nearby trees. Ethan closed his eyes. For a moment, he could almost hear his father's voice, steady, warm, certain. Keep going. And so he did.